Yo, 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 yo. I told you I was gonna start doing that, Slime. You gotta yo, 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 yo. And he said do it for some minutes. I mean, some seconds, like the beginning of it, then they go, yeah. So we gonna see.
Taxes, you will be investigated by the IRS and liable for heavy fines or even federal prison time. Now, when the Pentagon...
I'm not gonna lie, video, because I be watching some of Toma G videos too. The ones in the hood though, where the niggas be like gangbanging and shit. Them interesting. I ain't gonna lie. Okay, what are these? Like under these trees? Like I wonder what that is. Like I wonder what that is. I don't know how to tell them beginning interview. Me either. Me either. That's a good ass question. How do we? What the fuck is under these?
Pentagon wastes trillions of dollars of your taxpayer money. Who investigates them? Well, folks, I'm Tommy G, and today I'm investigating the Pentagon. You see, the United States is $39 trillion in debt, headed towards a slow-motion financial collapse, and much of it is due to the wasteful spending and endless wars our politicians keep doing. So to look into this, I assembled...
This one I don't understand, right? Nigga, they can print money. They can make it. So much of it. How the fuck is we end up? Well, how they end up?
The cast of experts. I spoke with U.S. senators and representatives, former CIA agent John Kiriakou, retired Army Colonel Douglas McGregor, and David Packhouse, the famous arms dealer the movie War Dogs was made about.
How did two 20-something young men land a $300 million Pentagon contract?
And on top of investigating the spending crisis, at the end of the episode, I also pressed one of the key congressmen proposing the U.S.-Israeli military merger that you may have heard about with Section 224. So let's dive in, but first a quick word from the sponsor of today's episode.
All right, folks, that fix a computer. Let's say I'll act part of a hack and I'm a former.
My name is John Kiriakou. I am a former CIA counterterrorism operations officer, former chief investigator for the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. I was in the CIA for just short of 15 years.
What is it like inside the Pentagon?
Yeah, you know, the Pentagon is the largest office building in the world. It's 5 concentric Pentagons, and it's several stories high. It goes deep underground. It's complicated to the point where even people who have worked in the Pentagon for many years can't find their way around. It's also old, ill-kept.
Douglas McGregor, retired Army Colonel with 28 years of service, former senior advisor to the Secretary of Defense.
And which Secretary of Defense?
That was Miller. He was the last one under the Trump administration. It never gets smaller. It always grows. And the first thing you have to understand is this business operation is enormous. Secondly, what I would call a unified military command structure. You have the services, and each of the services are effectively independent actors. They write their own budgets. They make their own decisions. Increasingly, they devise their own missions. It's like a battleship at sea. You're the captain of the ship and you decide you want to turn it left or right, and turning that battleship is very different. What I would call real control doesn't exist.
The Pentagon has failed another audit.
They are unable to account for an $830 billion budget. This is insanity.
Another year gone by, another Pentagon audit failed.
An independent audit finding the Pentagon's accounting failed to provide a paper trail for hundreds of millions in your money in construction projects.
The money has not been spent to make the Pentagon a great place to work. It's a terrible place.
When you hear about the Pentagon failing its budget for the 8th straight year, does that surprise you?
I was not at all surprised that the Pentagon failed its budget for the 8th straight year. Funny thing, after I left the CIA, I worked for 4 years at Deloitte & Touche, which is one of the big 4 accounting firms. They tried to get the Pentagon's audit contract. They failed. There are so many trillions with a T, trillions of dollars missing from the Pentagon budget over the course of decades. They didn't even know where to look to try to find it.
The Pentagon failed its audit for the 8th straight year.
It's failed every audit.
Ever.
Ever. In the history of the Pentagon, they have never passed an audit.
They're increasing the budget dramatically and they can't even keep the budget.
Yeah, well, I would say, you know, China's on our heels right now. You know, we have to be very circumspect about our national security. I'm less worried about the Pentagon budget, and I'm more worried about all the money that's getting wasted, whether it's at the Pentagon, because there is waste and abuse at the Pentagon, there's a lot of it, but it's in every agency.
We're facing an ongoing crisis in which the Pentagon cannot pass an audit.
Well, I'm not sure that's a new crisis. Peter Drucker, he said we've made defense so big that we can't manage it. Too big to be effective.
Well, the Pentagon has an enormous budget. When I first got here, around $800 billion a year. It's now, because of a supplemental, in excess of $1 trillion. It's also like incredibly complex, right? A lot of different programs. It's not like, managing something that has, a few different stovepipes. But that's not an excuse.
Well, that nigga look like a couple niggas. Professor Xavier looking at nigga.
Like functional organization.
Hey, what's that bald head nigga off of Austin Powers, bro? Oh my god, I forgot that nigga name. Fuck, I forgot that nigga name.
That's going to operate efficiently and to the best of its ability, should be able to pass an audit. It's a pretty basic thing. And the Pentagon just can't.
Why not?
Why? Because it is a huge bureaucracy with a lot of entrenched interests, a lot of lobbyists, that want certain programs here and there, and this money goes all over the place. It needs to be reformed.
Adam Smith. I am the congressman for the 9th District of the state of Washington, and I am the ranking Democrat on the House Armed Services Committee.
Now, Smith was recently named as a central figure in advancing the highly controversial Section 224, the alleged military merger between the United States and Israel. And we will be asking him about that at the end of this episode. But for now, we're going to focus on the Pentagon's budget.
They've never passed an audit, so I don't know about the 8th straight year. No, it's something we've been working on for a long time. It was not the focus as the Pentagon was being developed back in the 50s and 60s and 70s. I think back in the 50s, the defense budget was roughly half of the federal budget. So it was massive systems brought online with no coordination. Now, the Marine Corps passed their audit, and one of my biggest goals, 2028, get the Pentagon to fully pass an audit.
My name is David Packows, and the movie War Dogs was based on my life.
Much of the issue with the Pentagon budget is inflated costs coming from military contractors. So to understand what it's like to get a government contract, we sat down with one of the most famous contractors in recent history, David Packows from the movie War Dogs.
How easy is it to go about getting a Pentagon military contract?
It's easy in the sense that I think practically anyone can do it. The hard part is knowing what you're doing.
Going from starting your business to getting a government contract, how long did it take?
It took about 3 weeks. Yeah. And that was, by the way, that was for propane. It wasn't for arms or weapons or anything like that. 40,000 gallons of propane to the Air Force in Wyoming.
And the biggest contract you ever got from the government was how much?
It was $298 million.
Are you surprised to hear that the Pentagon has failed its audit for the 8th year in a row?
No, I can't say I'm surprised. 8 years is a long time. That is a long time, and that's gone through, I guess, multiple administrations now. You would think at some point that someone would do something about that, but I guess they realize that they don't have to pass the audit.
Let me highlight some of the biggest ways the military-industrial complex is screwing you, the taxpayer. First is with price gouging. For example, look at this.
Mr. Secretary, is a bag of bushings. How much do you think the Air Force pays for this bag of bushings?
I don't know, Congressman.
$90,000.
Folks, that bag of bushings should have cost about $100. Or what about the Department of Defense buying toilet seats at $10,000 a pop? Or what about this gas station in Afghanistan that apparently cost $43 million to build? Folks, I could spend days on stories like this, but let's move on to how long it takes these companies to deliver. According to reporting from the government's own watchdog, it takes contractors on average 12 years just to deliver a single working weapon system, meaning by the time it's delivered, it is outdated or downright useless. And lastly, folks, these companies use intellectual property laws to prevent the military from fully fixing their own equipment, and what that means is a part could break on a jet in the Middle East, and soldiers have to sacrifice weeks to send that jet back to a contractor in the United States, all for it to be fixed at a price gouging rate. And remember, folks, this is your money we're talking about.
Where's the accountability? Does anyone get fired? Does anyone go to jail in the Pentagon when they fail?
Well, I mean, first of all, you're not going to shut down and bankrupt the Pentagon. I do believe that we need to defend the country.
Yeah, because we're funding it endlessly.
Well, but yeah, there's that, but there's also the fact that, and I know people are uncomfortable, it is not as bad as everyone says, but we do face threats. 9/11 happened.
I guess my problem with the defense spending is this, is if I was in charge of spending your money and I went over budget and I couldn't pass an audit, would you give me a 30% raise, 50% raise? We just passed the largest ever in history, almost $1 trillion, and they want to do $1.5 trillion next year, and they can't balance a budget. So how is this allowed to happen?
For me, I'm very careful about national security. Like, I want to make sure that our military are well paid and well fed, and then we have the best readiness and the best lethal force in the world, because there is an axis of evil out there between China, Russia, and Iran. So I'm going to fund our military in every way possible, but that doesn't mean that I don't think there shouldn't be any oversight to it.
But isn't that
there
our
should
debt a national security risk?
Our debt is a national security issue, and in fact, we're borrowing money from China to pay for things in Taiwan. I mean, it is stupid what we are doing in many cases.
Folks, here's why our debt is a national security risk. Currently, we are $39 trillion in a hole, and right now we are paying 19% of all federal taxes, which is about $1 trillion, just to paying the interest on the money we've borrowed. And leading economic models warn that within 20 years, our debt will spiral so far out of control that no amount of tax increases will ever catch up to the interest payments. Folks, we are talking about an economy crashing tidal wave coming at us in slow motion. And the worst part is that younger generations will inherit this problem that older politicians will never have to live with. Does anyone get fired in the Pentagon when they fail an audit?
No.
Folks, after spending $1 trillion, failing another audit, and getting us into a war that nobody wanted, the government is deciding to give themselves a 40% raise. That's right, they are proposing a $1.5 trillion budget fiscal year 2027. Now, to put that money in perspective, that is enough money for every single student in America to go to college for free for the next 20 years, and it's also enough money for every single working parent to have free daycare for their child for the next 7 years. And the crazy thing is, they've programmed us that when it's our tax money actually benefiting us, we've been trying to think about these things as entitlements, but when they waste our money year after year, that's just business as usual.
When you plot out the curve, eventually, if we stay on the trajectory we're on, we will have a budget that buying one airplane will cost the entire budget. It's a huge organization. It needs to have serious reforms, and we need leadership that's focused on the right thing. That is not these guys. That is not Pete Hegseth. We're in a situation now, financially as a country, that I never expected us to be in.
Right.
You know, when I was your age, the national debt was about $3 trillion, and it's just went over $39 trillion.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I never thought we'd be here. You know, the last 4 presidents that created this big, huge problem. Accountability, we should be able to fire people in the government, but government doesn't work like a private company. But we shouldn't do what Elon Musk did at the beginning of this administration with Doge. He just randomly fired a bunch of people. It didn't matter what their role was, who they were.
A functional Doge seems like it would be imperative for the future.
Yeah, I'd call it something else. Well, that's not a realistic thing.
It seems like we're almost at an unsustainable
We're getting there.
Folks, let's break down how our national debt has spiraled out of control due to spending on these forever wars. It really started with Reagan in the 80s spending massively on defense during a time of peace, but let's focus on the last 4 administrations. Bush told us there was weapons of mass destruction and spent $4.9 trillion bombing Iraq and Afghanistan. Obama continued the wars and spent $8.4 trillion over his 2 terms. Biden spent $6.6 trillion, much of it money printing for COVID stimulus checks, but he also spent record amounts on defense budgets during a time of peace. But folks, Trump takes the cake because he has spent almost $10 trillion across 6 years and now has us in a war with Iran, and pound for pound, he is easily the spendiest president of all time, acting like a guy who has a history of bankrupting companies. Oh wait.
Are you going to apologize for the million Iraqis that are dead because you lied? You lied about weapons of mass destruction. You lied about connections to 9/11. You lied about Iraq being a threat.
We're getting into territory of some where Japan and a couple other countries have been to, which then makes it really hard to unwind the problem.
Right now, over half of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, credit card debt is at an all-time high, and gas prices are 53% higher than when Trump took office in 2025. Folks, there are estimates.
I heard this going down, though. Is it going down? I heard it's going down. I don't know. I heard gas going down. I don't know.
That Trump's war has cost us over $100 billion. But how is Trump doing in all of this?
I thought him and Iraq like made the agreement or something. Didn't they make an agreement? There wasn't just no agreement to squash their beef, was it? Nigga, you don't know. I'm asking you, nigga. No, bro, they be lying for the television. No, son. You see this and you, son. You too woke, nigga. Son, just think about it, son. A lot of political leaders lie to save face game. Nah, they gas though. Lie to your country about that gas. There's nothing to lie about, bro.
About American financial situation. I don't think about anybody. I think about one thing. We cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon. That's all.
Reports have come out that Trump has gone on a stock trading rampage that would make even Nancy Pelosi proud. You see, over a 3-month span, he logged 3,600 individual stock trades that are estimated to be.
They're gonna sound crazy, saying, but nigga, I don't think some presidents. What I'm trying to say, I don't think some presidents are the presidents. I think the government be. I don't know. I don't know, bro. Cause they say the government run everything, right? So what if the president not even the president? The president's just the face. Like a football team. Like you got your star player. I don't know. But I ain't gonna say too much. You ain't gonna say too much. Nigga, who you supposed to be? That nigga talking about I ain't gonna say too much. Nigga, who you supposed to be, nigga? I'm real, but do your home. Nigga, you getting clipped. What's the time step?
Valued up to $750 million. And because he did not disclose these trades properly, he was hit with a whopping $200 fine. Whoa. And how are his sons doing in all of this? Well, Eric Trump is heavily involved in taking an Israeli drone company public in a $1.5 billion deal right in the middle of the war that his father's administration started. And Donald Trump Jr. is part of a startup that just received a $626 million contract from the Pentagon, which is the single biggest loan given out by the Office of Strategic Capital, which, by the way, this is taxpayer funded. So folks, while the average American's finances and that of our countries is spiraling out of control, you can rest assured that our commander-in-chief and his family are doing just well. In fact, I'd say tremendous.
Can you speak to the level of power that military-industrial lobbyists have on the Hill?
Oh, I tried with Senator McCain, and to his credit, he supported it. I said we need to bring in some other manufacturers. And I wanted to bring in some German companies that build superb military equipment. And the problem was that the Germans had much better assembly lines, much more modern equipment, and much better technology than we were using. So you can imagine what happened. They went to Carl Levin, who was the chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee, and say, Carl, we don't want any German firms on the ground in this country. Out of question. Why would that be? Because you had problems with some of the General Dynamics, Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, Northrop Grumman. I mean, just go down the list. Do they want competition? No.
Contractor Palmer Luckey, he thinks it's because there's a lot less competition. There used to be maybe dozens and dozens of companies competing, and now there's 4 or 5 too big to fail companies in the space. What do you think about that?
These smaller companies like Palantir and Anduril and General Atomics and others that have come into the space and have provided, more competition and have showed that they're able to do some hard things and do it at lower cost. We need more of that. Competition is good for the people who fund this. That's the taxpayer.
Do you think we need less bases around the world?
I think we need less bases, period. We need to have the forces where the threat is.
Currently, estimates show that the United States has about 860 military bases sprinkled around the world, which is the most of any country by far. Now, to put this in perspective, let's compare to other countries. It's been said the UK has around 118 bases, Russia has about 35, and China has just 6.
So the force we have in Europe, we could reposition some of those forces and put them in places that they would be more effective if we got in a conflict with Russia, and then close some bases.
But the good news is that's starting to change. But you now have dozens of different firms out there that are competing with the major primes. And what acquisition reform did is to open that up so that they can more easily compete.
What is this year's current spend on defense?
The bill that we passed in appropriations was right around $900 billion, but then they did that stupid reconciliation bill where they threw another $156 billion. So right around $1 trillion, a little more than $1 trillion.
One issue that's very important to young people, almost unanimously the young people I talk to feel this way, is why do we keep sending money to Israel that needs to be recycled back through our military contractors, but why do we keep sending money to Israel?
Yeah, well, there's a reason for that. I think we also need to put pressure on Israel to, first of all, not occupy the West Bank, second of all, maintain the peace in Gaza. From the day Israel was founded, unlike any other country in the history of the world, they have been surrounded by 80 years by people who didn't think they have a right to exist.
Do you believe under the leadership of Pete Hegseth that we will start heading in the right direction when it comes to our budget?
I have sincere doubts. He was the least qualified person ever picked for that position, and he's made a large number of mistakes right from the start. Now, the one thing I will say, the Trump administration and within the Pentagon, they have a bias towards action. They want to make changes. And one of the things that causes the Pentagon to be so inefficient is its unbelievable bureaucratic process.
No diddy. No diddy. No diddy. No diddy. No diddy. This nigga got some nice teeth, son. No diddy. But like, look at his front row, son.
Towards action. They want to make changes. And one of the things that causes the Pentagon to be so inefficient is its unbelievable bureaucratic process. You got to go through 15 different layers. It takes forever to make a decision. They're not nimble.
And where is this money?
You think he got veneers? Man, you never know with rich white people. You never know. This nigga probably, I don't know. I don't know, son. Because his bottom row look a little fucked up. So they look natural. I don't know, son. I don't know.
Disappearing.
There's no easy answer to where the money's disappearing. We
like,
know.
His teeth not perfect, but they like look at it. No diddy. No diddy. No diddy. Look at the bottom row when he talking.
So inefficient is its unbelievable bureaucratic process. You got to go through 15 different layers.
Dang. He got a tooth right here, look like it's turned. This so gay, I'm wilding this nigga mouth. He got a tooth right here, it's turned a little bit. So I don't think like they fake, cause how that happened. I really think niggas got good teeth.
It takes forever to make a decision. They're not nimble.
And where is this money disappearing?
There's no easy answer to where the money's disappearing. We know, as one example, that a lot of money disappears in embezzlement schemes, right? There are current and former senior officers who have been indicted and successfully prosecuted because of embezzlement schemes.
And what happened when you became a whistleblower?
Well, the point of the Whistleblower Protection Act is that national security whistleblowers are not covered by its protections. You can go through your chain of command, although in more cases than not, your chain of command is corrupt and is what you're blowing the whistle on in the first place. You can't go to the Office of the Inspector General because we know that the Inspector General has actually ratted out protected whistleblowers in the past. And you can't go to the oversight committees because when you go to the oversight committees and report on waste, fraud, abuse, illegality, or threats to the public health or public safety, you're oftentimes then prosecuted for espionage for making what should be a protected disclosure. So what's the only...
You know who John Curry, whoa, nigga, what did you just say? Kyriako, nigga. What the fuck? No, who is that? He was a whistleblower for the CIA. That mean he used to work for them and he exposed some of their secrets. Okay, so what you getting at? Why you telling me that? He might be one of the most important niggas alive right now with the way the world is. So we supposed to find him? I'm confused. Like you said that out. Now just say, oh, okay. Let's Google him. Let's Google John Kirk. How the fuck you say his last name? Let's see what he doing, bro. Oh, this him? This him right here? Oh shit, this John Kirk.
The alternative, it's to go to the media, and then you get an espionage charge against you, and then your whole life falls apart. So there's nothing easy to being a whistleblower.
And did that happen to you?
That's exactly what happened to me. I blew the whistle on the CIA's torture program, and I was charged with 5 felonies, including 3 counts of espionage. They knew that I hadn't committed espionage, so they waited until I went bankrupt from my legal fees, and then when I went bankrupt, they dropped all the espionage charges.
So knowing that that's what happens to whistleblowers, are you skeptical that anyone would come forward and risk their career to expose waste, fraud, and abuse within the Pentagon?
I would be shocked if such a person were to come forward, because what's going to happen is, number one, they're going to get fired that very same day. Number two, they're going to be prosecuted. They're going to lose their pension. They're probably going to lose their marriage. That's usually what happens in whistleblower cases. And then you're unemployable for the rest of your life.
If whistleblowers were truly protected, do you think we'd have many of them coming from the Pentagon?
Yeah, if whistleblowers were truly protected, I think we would have so many whistleblowers coming forward, it would completely reconfigure the government.
Do you think we should be pushing more for trade relations with places like China rather than...
They talking about, he's snitching about shit with money, man. What about the shit we want to know about for real? The aliens, the water, space. Come on, son. I don't care about no money. Nigga, y'all can make money. I don't care how you niggas in debt. You niggas got trees all over that goddamn bit. And you niggas make the money. I couldn't be president, bro. We'll all be rich.
Building up our armaments.
If you talk to foreign policy people, their focus is on, what is our plan to beat China? And that's fine, but we're not going to beat China. China isn't going anywhere. We're not going anywhere. We're going to be 2 of the biggest powers in the world for the foreseeable future. So what I always say is, what is your plan to coexist with China?
Adam, you've had a lot of look into how the Pentagon spends money. Can you lay out the biggest red flags or biggest cut opportunities that could help us go in the right direction with the budget?
Absolutely. Large programs of record. These massive programs that were supposed to be one big solution to all the world's problems. Shrink all of that down. Simplify it. We need to start buying cheaper systems, drones, counter-drone, missile defense, and secure communications.
Currently, military contractors are building very expensive, complex weapon systems. Just look no further than the F-35 fighter jet program, which Lockheed Martin pitched to the taxpayer as a cost-effective jet. Lockheed Martin won the contract back in 2001, and over time, this project's budget has ballooned to over $2 trillion, making it the most expensive weapons program in human history. Now, a working F-35 is no doubt a massive technological breakthrough to be celebrated. However, a Pentagon report has revealed that only
Nigga, I forgot this was a Tommy G video. Nigga, I thought we were watching CNN or some shit.
1 in 4 completed F-35s are actually fully battle ready because most of them are plagued with software issues so glitchy that the jet's computer crashes mid-flight. And even though the Pentagon has given Lockheed Martin hundreds of millions of dollars in incentive fees for them to finish faster and fix these issues, the delays and problems have only continued. And this is just one of the many cases that highlights the overspending, late delivery, and poor results that the American taxpayer has to put up with.
So in other words, we built these extremely complicated and expensive weapon systems when the reality of the world is it's being fought with, just look at the Houthis, just look at the battle and war in Ukraine. It's cheap drones that have payloads. And so the game of war have actually gone in the opposite direction, where it's the price to kill or the price to strike is a lot cheaper than how we've manufactured.
We need good enough commercial solutions.
Guys, let me explain what I mean. The US has prioritized expensive weapons over effective weapons. For example, when we battle with the Houthis, they attack us with a $2,000 drone that we then shoot down with a $2 million missile. That is a 1,000x difference and a prime case study of how stupid and unsustainable our military spending has gotten.
What is the way to correct this ship and actually steer it in a proper direction?
Other than bankruptcy, I can't think of a single one. The only thing that has historically worked is a military defeat that cannot be disguised or concealed. And historically, we have managed to disguise our strategic failures and pretend that they were not strategic failures or that they were success stories. What happened after everything collapsed in Vietnam? No one talked about it anymore. It went away. There was no discussion.
How do we reel in this monster that is the defense budget?
I think the first thing we have to do is to have a true appropriations process on Capitol Hill. You know, year after year after year, going back decades, Congress gives the Pentagon more money than the Pentagon asks for. Because you don't want to be accused in your re-election race of being, weak on national defense. You can't keep track of all that money.
When you worked out in the field, in operations, did you see any examples of outrageous spending on behalf of the government?
About 5 days after the 9/11 attacks, I approached the CIA's director of counterterrorism, Cofer Black, and I said, Cofer, I have an idea for an operation I want to pass by you. And he put up his hands and he said, whatever it is, just do it. I have so much money, I can't possibly spend it all. And I was like, awesome, because everywhere I go is halfway around the world. So I don't have to go, 20 hours to Pakistan in coach. I can go business class now. There was great effort to spend everything.
The government is not price sensitive, right? They don't really care how much they pay as long as they can justify what they're doing.
Do you think the government does spend taxpayer money wisely when it comes to weapons and defense?
Definitely in many cases not, right? I mean, the most egregious examples are the cost plus contracts. I mean, that's something that's pretty widely known, I think. Lockheed Martin developed the F-35, right? World's most advanced fighter jet. And it was extremely over budget and many, many years late. And the question is why? Why was it so over budget? Well, because the type of contract they had with the government was a cost plus contract. That means that whatever Lockheed spent in developing this aircraft, the government would cover the costs, plus they would give them a certain percentage, usually it's a small percentage, but they'd give them a small percentage as profit for doing the contract. And if you think about the incentives there, is that the more money they spend, the more money they make, right? So there's no incentive to be efficient with the money. There's no incentive to be fast with development, because the longer the contract runs, the more time they're making that money.
Folks, I recently saw some news that made me want to grab a musket Boston Tea Party style. You see, through Section 224 of the National Defense Authorization Act, Congress is quietly trying to push through an unprecedented, outrageous merger between Israeli and U.S. military forces. We are talking about extensive collaborations on weapon systems, even the possibility of hosting Israeli companies in this country, aggressive amounts of data sharing, and even the framework for Congress to give more money to Israel without the U.S. taxpayer knowing. Now, the man claiming responsibility for this plan is none other than Benjamin Netanyahu, and I highly recommend you purchase his autobiography so you can get more hip to the times that we're living in. And it begs the question, why are we trying to get further in bed with a country that most Americans are deeply distrustful of? And folks, I found out that one of the guys I interviewed for this piece, Congressman Adam Smith, is one of the key guys trying to push this merger forward. So I hit up his team for a follow-up interview, and this is me asking Adam about the rationale behind his decision-making.
I saw it as a benefit to the U.S. You know, we need to develop better missile defense systems, better drone defense systems, because we're not very good at that. And sadly, Israel's been in a fight for a while, so they are better at it. So all I see this as is an ability for the U.S. to take advantage of some Israeli know-how to better develop crucial systems that we need.
Yeah, and Adam, I guess the concerning thing on our aspect is I would say most people under 40 in this country find Israel deeply unpopular, and the idea that we would do anything more to further get in bed with them is scary. It's shocking. It's, I mean, Benjamin Netanyahu said this is part of his plan, and I guess, what are the upsides for the average American here that we're not seeing warning signs of even more overlap with a country that is maybe the most diabolical country on earth right now?
Huh, interesting. I mean, the upside, as I said, is we learned from that technology to develop better systems. But I think those are all valid points. You know, and I'm not looking to have a closer relationship with the Israeli military. I don't disagree with that at all.
I guess the other reason why I found it so surprising, Adam, is because you've spoken out very much against Israel, which is rare for a U.S. politician right now. And back in August, you were pushing for withholding arms from going to them. Yet now we're here formalizing a deal. Like, I don't know if I'm beating a dead horse, but that's where the disconnect feels.
And again, I wish you just sort of acknowledge my point, which is I didn't see this as enhancing the relationship with Israel or providing them with more weapon systems. I saw us as benefiting from their know-how. I mean, you got to vote, but you also have to, advocate for the policies that are going to help move us in a better, more positive direction. And I get the anger, but let's also be productive and work together to try to solve some of these problems.
I appreciate your time. Thank you for clarifying, and I hope to see you the next time in Washington, D.C.
Thanks for giving me the chance. I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. To see what Israel is doing in the world and think our politicians want to get in bed with them further, to me, is just outrageous. But I do have some really good news to report, which is shortly after the conversation with Congressman Adam Smith, his team sent me an email basically saying that due to conversations with people like me and his constituents, that he will no longer be advocating for Section 224 to be part of this bill. So thank you to Adam for listening to your people and changing course. But folks, we still have work to do. The following politicians, Ted Budd, Kirsten Gillibrand, Mike Rogers, and Ronnie Jackson are some of the key proponents of Section 224. What I need you to do is call their office, email them, and if you see them in public, let your opinion be heard strongly. We can apply pressure and win, and it is our duty as Americans to fight for this country, and that is a way to fight. So I want to encourage you, empower you, and fill you with hope that change is possible if we band together. All right, folks. Well, that's the end of this episode. I have to say, I heard a quote recently, don't despair. To despair is a sin, and that we have to keep the hope. And I will say it's tough sometimes with what we're facing. The Pentagon is spending our money like it grows on trees. And what I agree with Adam Smith is this is not something that we get to sit on our butt and wait for it to change. Not only do we have to vote, but we do have to sweat for this country. If you love this country, you gotta be willing to sweat for it. And I do think if we all can come together and hopefully we pave the way forward. We have faced crisis, we've faced devastating odds, and I have faith in the American people, not necessarily the government, that we can come together and build the future that we all want for ourselves and our kids. So thank you guys for watching. See you next week.
You need a hug.
It'll be okay. The future's bright.
We'll be fine.
Huh? Surveillance state. Nigga, the U.S. is a country, I thought. What you, hold on. WV.